Well, fellas, it's that time of the month once again where I have to let you know about what's going to be coming to the NA version of the game for the month of April. And usually I like to get these out on like the 31st or the 30th, so it can be a little bit of an interlude into the month. But as you guys know, we have Lilim Harlot over here on NA right now. It's still ongoing, and that has been a bit crazy. You know, we have new servants, we got hype stuff going down, and like 1,000 different banners. But now that we have a little bit of breathing room, I can go ahead and do this video, let you know what we're going to be getting for the month of April, which should actually be pretty hype, as a lot of you guys are expecting the lotto should be coming out for the month of April, as well as a lot of really good just side campaigns or events. I mean, it's going to be a good month following up what we have for Lilim Harlot, so I have high hopes for this one. And you should also be pretty excited for getting new banners, new really good events, and also a couple of good side campaigns. But as per usual, if you like being informed on what's going on both versions of the game, make sure you leave a like in the video and subscribe to the channel, as I do put these videos out every single day. Now strap in, get comfortable, because we have quite a bit to talk about. So one of the things we should be seeing relatively soon over here on the NA side of things is Evocation Festival Part 2. Now that we have Part 1 on the NA side of things, you guys should be a bit more familiar with how this works. They bring back a couple of free-to-play characters. You get the evocation leaflets by just logging into the game. You use those to get the initial copy of the character and any additional copies you might need. If they have a costume, you can buy that in the evocation shop, and you can also get their servant coins. So that is very nice if you want to just fully max out any of these characters. If any of them tickle your pickle or strike your fancy, you can go ahead and grab the guys. And this one is actually bringing 4 of them. Now, it's not the craziest set of characters. I guess the first one we'll talk about is Idol X Alter. Unfortunately, while the other characters do receive a buff, they didn't toss one her way, as I do think she could really use it. If you're looking for like a quick AoE looper, she's really not going to be the character for you. I mean, she's cute, you can definitely give her that, but realistically, outside of that, there's not a whole lot you're going to get outside of this character. I mean, they do have the evil power mod. They also have a power mod against mechanical enemies and could do some nice crit damage for a turn, as they are rocking a 100% crit damage buff. But realistically, outside of that, outside of you being a newer player that just needs a usable character that can do damage, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of her. But at the very least, I can give her props where props are due. She is cute, so we do enjoy that. The main ones that might be helpful for new players are going to be the 2 Lizzes and Nobu, because the Saber Liz over here, or Brave Liz if you want to be proper, is going to be getting an NP upgrade, which doesn't do a whole lot for her outside of raising the damage percentage on her NP, but her being a free-to-play NP5 character, that's really all you can ask for. Just having a character that can do a lot of damage is going to be helpful for a lot of people in their boxes, because you might not have a Saber that can just dunk on some Lancer or Berserker enemies. If you need that, she can at least do that for you, and her kit is basic enough that you can still get the job done with that. Sure, her 3rd skill is still a bit RNG-ish, but at least that's been buffed to where it only requires 50% of your gauge, and again, her being a free-to-play NP5 does mean it's very easy to get her up to 150% gauge, and so that way you can still pop this skill and then use the 3rd skill to see if maybe you get the big buster buff, maybe you heal, maybe everybody's invincible for a turn. Who knows? We're putting a gacha in your gacha because we heard you like the gacha so much. But realistically, if you have a well-established account, the Brave Liz probably isn't going to make that big of a deal for you, probably not going to be that impactful. One that might be a little interesting is the Caster Liz, because she is a Buster AoE servant, meaning she does have some applicability going into Buster AoE farming. She does natively already have a 30% battery on her 3rd skill, which has been upgraded. Her 1st skill upgrade over here doesn't do a lot to help that out, but it does give her some nice utility going into challenge quests. Effectively, what it's doing is now it's regenerating more stars, 20 per turn, giving her a 3k heal, and then it removes the latest buff on all of the enemies, and then if it does remove them, it gives them a Happy Halloween buff. Effectively, what that does is lower their critical attack chance and give her a 20% battery based on how many buffs she did remove. So if she removed 1 on each of the enemies, she gets 60%. If it was 2 enemies, it's 40%. If it's 1 enemy, it's 20%. And it can't get much crazier than that because it only removes the latest buff on an enemy. But hey, you could go really nutty. If you're fighting 6 enemies and they all have a buff, you take 20% from each, that's 120% battery. So technically it could go sick nasty goated with the sauce, but realistically for some players, it's going to be like you can use her as a caster buster AoE character, but if you already have somebody like say Caster Ku fully NP'd out, you're probably not going to use her very much. But if you really like Liz, it could be a cuter alternative, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. but she should be the most impactful just for the reason that if you don't have a Buster AoE looper, you now have access to one at N5. And then finally there's Nobu. Nobu's kind of in a weird position because they didn't give her a battery, so you can't really use her as a Buster farmer, but the buff they do give her first skill actually ain't all that bad. It's a 20% Buster buff for the entire party, giving them 20% NP damage and 30% NP gain, so she can kinda be this wave clearer slash support if you're really down bad, I guess, and you really need her to take something out. Like, think of a multi-core team comp. If you need her to take out like waves 1 or 2, she's also providing damage for everybody. She does also have the divinity power mod and the riding power mod, so she can fill some kind of niche. Again, if you're in the market for that sort of thing, it's not the worst buff they could have given her, but obviously she's not all that great on her own. But if you are down to get a little wonky with your team comps, you can find a home for Nobu. And again, having access to a character that has both divinity and riding as power mods will just be generally good for most boxes. Not the craziest buff, but it is quite nice. There also will be a summoning campaign coming with this, because, you know, they like to bring the different versions and associated characters for those free-to-plays back on Raid Up, and so you're going to be getting access to Okita, MHX, MHXX, OG Liz, Zerk, Nobu, and Vlad. If you're wondering about Vlad, it's kind of because of the whole Halloween 2 thing. It's the wrong Vlad from the event, but, you know, we'll take it. If you're wanting to know which one of these characters is worth going for, realistically, you could skip out on all of them. Like, I'm not going to tell you that Okita, MHX, Vlad, MHXX aren't usable characters. They're all usable in their own right. It's just, if you're trying to min-max for what these characters do, I mean, sure, XX can do a whole lot of damage, but you're better off summoning for somebody like Draco, who can just kind of lock down all of the 7 main class servant enemies, or just 7 class enemies in general, or you could go for the summer version of Castoria, who's a berserker, so she's pretty much good against anybody that's not a foreigner, and she's got like 3 different power mods, so like, they're just better characters to go for. MHX and Okita, I think they're fine single target quick servants. I think too many people have too much of this year 1 mindset thinking that MHX hasn't been buffed, but she is a solid servant, she is usable. But usable is probably not what you want to go for, especially because single target quick servants are pretty dang strong, especially now. I mean, you're better off waiting for somebody like Kama to go on Raid Up because she got a buff, Melt to go on Raid Up, she got a buff, Bisquion, new Dantes. I mean, the list could go on and on and on and on and on. There's a lot of really strong single target quick characters, so unless you're trying to collect every single Saber face, you can skip out on this banner. But then following the Evocation Festival, we should move into the Ordeal Call pre-release campaign, which we are going to get a live stream for, and that will pretty much announce the, you know, Ilia Castle Lotto that's going to be coming out. This is also ushering in that we're going to be getting the Bleached Earth missions, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about, but those are insanely powerful. Not only does it have a quest for you to go farm QP in the Las Vegas node, but it also makes farming things really easy because you just have these 1 million HP enemies, and if you could beat those guys up in one shot, which isn't the hardest to do, you can get your farming done quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's a lot faster than doing your dailies, and it gives you a lot more bond as well, if that's something to care about, as well as frequently going on half AP. So even though there are limited runs that you can only do like 9 a day, they are often cheaper to do, so you can get more runs in. So if you're trying to farm or level up your characters, it just equals out to being a better time altogether. But speaking of that live stream and what we're going to be getting, we should be getting the Ilia's Castle in just a few weeks, which the main thing is it's a lottery. That's pretty much all that anybody really cares about with this event. It's a lotto, everything else, who cares? But it does actually bring a new servant. It brings Kashin Koji into the game, and she's actually not a bad character. The unfortunate thing about her is timing, and she's in every single banner. So if you really like this character and want to pull for them, you might be better off just waiting for the free 5-star ticket that we get in the, I guess for us, it'll be the 25 million download campaign, because it was 30 million for JP side of things, and I think we're like 5 behind. But you wait for that, and you can pick her up for absolutely free, or she might just surprise you on one of the random gachas that you're going on. Say you're rolling for Ace the Savior for Anniversary, Kashin Koji might spook your summon. But her main thing is that she has this power mod against enemies that are bounded, and she puts bound on them. Bound is like basically stun, but it gets around stun immunity type people. It's kind of like Medusa's thing. But she's not a bad character. Like, she can do your quick looping if you wanted to do that. She can be good going into CQs. Like, she's not a bad character at all whatsoever. Just unfortunately timed that even if she was somebody like Lohai, which she's not, but Lohai being a general pool servant that is so obscenely broken that you're incentivized to pull for them, or somebody like Tai Gong, she's just in a very, very bad spot, right? We're just coming out of Draco and Tiamat, and we're about to be moving into Anniversary and Summer in a couple of months, and people really got to have time to rebuild those Saint Court stocks. And if you're a Sakura face stan, and you also have Ordeal Call 1 bringing Durga into the game, and Durga's actually also really, really strong, but she's limited, so it's harder to pull her. Like, you could go for the Durga banner and potentially pull Kashi and Koji. So if you're just trying to min-max your Saint Quartz, it's better to wait on a different banner. So that's a little unfortunate for her. We'll also be getting the Nero Fest and Battle in New York rerun banners as well, which does bring Tesla, Caster Nero, and Nero Bride back on Raid Up. Nero Bride is really good that if you're just trying to fit out your arts teams a little bit better, or technically your quick teams as well, because she does give NP gain and battery. She is really strong for that. Caster Nero is really strong, especially with the advent of the new append skills we have on the JP side of things. So now I believe she can actually loop her 50% attack buff, which does make her really, really strong as an AoE caster. Tesla might just be the best AoE archer in the game, at least for Buster team comps. Very, very, very strong. Just for farming, just for going into challenge quests, the guy's got it all. He can do everything. He is obscenely broken. Realistically, if you want to summon for any of these characters, I get going for Tesla, I get going for Nero Bride, but I would personally wait, but I understand if you want to go summon for them. Finally, we have Advanced Quest Part 15 dropping over here. I can't believe we're already 15 deep into these. The first two are pretty easy. The Chimera, basically, you just let him nom on the other buffs of the other characters. Like, you don't really care about them, and then he'll lose damage reduction, and then you can beat him up. It's not all that hard. I mean, you can challenge it by clearing Septum, so it's just a very baby fight. You have the Kid Gil with all of the different books. The books are basically like, oh, you gotta use different card types to beat this one. It's one of those like little gimmicky things where it's like, oh, well, the green book is gonna lock your skills and the red book's gonna burn you. Oh man, but like, it's not all that rough. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like, did you learn your colors? Have you developed object permanence? Then you could probably clear this one. The final one, though, is where things get a little bit rough. You gotta go fight Ku Alter. And realistically, it's not that bad. But you do need to know what you're doing going into this. Effectively, he gives himself 80% NP damage resistance at the start of the fight. Every time you fire an NP at him, he removes one of those. Each one of those resistances add up to 20%. So effectively, you're not gonna do a whole lot of damage at the start of the fight. You remove a couple of those, and then you can start bonking him with NPs, then you can start doing real damage. I wouldn't rely on crit too much, because then once you pop his first break bar, he's going to give himself 80% crit damage resist, same thing. You hit him with crits, you remove those, and then blah, 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 blah. He will be fully charging his NP and dealing big damage as you start going through the fight, giving himself more and more attack, giving himself more and more NP damage. He's also removing some of your buffs, which is a little bit annoying, but there is kind of a get around for this one. If you bring a Lancer class character, they do 4 times damage against him, so that can be a really good way to just get around and just beat this guy up. You can also cheese this fight a little bit, because if you decide to bring Skahawk, she will actually get a taunt and star gen permanently for the fight, as well as a crit damage buff, so you can kind of use that and tailor that to kind of figure out what you want Ku Alter to do. But you will need a way to protect her the first time, because remember, Ku Alter does remove buffs on his NP, so Skahawk's own dodge won't be able to dodge the first NP he throws at her, so make sure you have somebody to keep her alive. I don't know how you're going to do that, because again, he removes all defensive buffs, but good luck on that one. Maybe you bring a guy that can remove Ku Alter's charge, you mitigate that a little bit so your Skahawk doesn't instantaneously die, but it is something you can do. You don't have to bring Skahawk, any Lancer will do on this fight, but it is a little bit annoying, can be a little tough for some boxes, but again, when these actually drop on the NA side of things, I'll do all my runs on that, and I'll show you guys how to beat it properly. But with that being said, that is pretty much everything for the month of April. I think we got that nearly done in about 15 minutes. I was hoping to keep it short, sweet, and simple, but also make sure you had all the information. Again, if you enjoy me staying on top of these things for you guys so you don't have to do all this research, a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel would go a long way. Leave a comment in the comment section down below letting me know what banners you're going to be summoning on this month. Again, I advise you skip all of these banners, but again, if you want to summon for somebody, I'd love to see who you're going to be going for, you know? Like to see what the community is interested in pooling for, and let me know what campaign you're looking forward to the most, although I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be saying the Lotto. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace, late guys.